On today's show, we're going to explore some big Instagram updates, including new paid plans for businesses that range from $15 a month to $500 a month. We'll tell you what comes with that. There are some interesting features. Also, a big update to the algorithm on Instagram, which actually favors smaller accounts, which sounds really cool. And of course, more AI everywhere, including some AI ads tools that could definitely save us as marketers a ton of time and possibly get better results as well. So excited to jump into all of that right now. My name is Jerry Potter, host of the Social Media Marketing Talk Show, a social media examiner production where we break down the latest social media news and what it means for marketers like you. And today I'm joined by Chelsea Pites. Chelsea teaches sales professionals how to leverage social media and technology to build a powerful personal brand and develop content that generates new leads. She's also the host of the Chelsea Pites podcast, and her most recent book is called What to Post. Chelsea, welcome to the show.
I'm already tired and we haven't even touched the updates this week.
It was a big news week for Instagram for sure. So
Yes.
let's start with Meta Verified for businesses. They've been testing this out. Now they're rolling it out to more countries, and the plans, they added more tiers up to $500 a month eventually. So update us on exactly what we're looking at here with this, and then we can add our thoughts.
I'm going to start with saying that I have not yet made a video about this because it seems to be changing by the day. So just know as we go through what we have as of this date, it could potentially change. It could update. This is a test mode that they have rolled out, and they rolled out some tiers that range in a pretty big range of pricing. Now, it does specifically say businesses. I'm not exactly sure how they're defining that. So that's one thing that we're waiting to find out more information. But there's different tiers from $44 to $111 to $300 something, and then all the way up to $400. And these are going to be different tiers that will get you different levels of access to security, protection, also enhanced profiles. So you can add more links, actually links inside of Reels. Not every Reel. There's a limit to how many Reels you can use for links. And then the one bullet point that has resonated with so many, featured. What does featured mean? Well, we don't exactly know. I recently just saw an image that it looks like it might be a more recommended feed of, hey, here's some posts from recommended Meta verified accounts, which a lot of people are taking to say, does that mean that it's pay to play now, that these people can pay their way to get shown more often? And so I think it's way too early to see what's going to happen because they are still testing. And I've noticed that some of the verbiage now in some of their blogs and their posts say, this is a possibility. We are testing this. And as you know, in Australia, they tested when the first Meta Verified came out. It also included some additional reach, and it didn't give a lot of information. And that did not go over well. So they decided not to roll that out. So it's a little early to tell, but yeah, I think it's pretty pricey. Certainly, of course, I'm sure they're thinking that the 300 and the 500 would be more of an enterprise or a larger corporation versus a personal brand acting as a business. But certainly, I'm sure it could be a personal brand acting as a business. But you get extra verifications, extra levels of impersonation protection for employees, and they give you a certain number of employees from there. So it's a lot.
Yeah, and the top tier right now, the introductory pricing is $350 a month US, but it shows is it will go to $500 a month eventually. So that's where that $500 a month plan would be theoretically, assuming this rolls out wide. I will tell you that the price anchoring totally worked on me. So price anchoring, in marketing is, when you go out to a restaurant, they show you a really expensive bottle of wine first, like $1,000 bottle, and then they bring you one that's like $100, and you're like, yeah, that sounds good, right? That's the psychology behind that. And so when they came out with this, $350 to $500 plan, I was like, 15 sounds pretty reasonable all the time. I had not even looked into it. So I tried to sign up this morning, and I had to join a wait list. So I wasn't even able to do it at this point. But the links in Reels could be huge if you've got Reels that regularly reach a ton of people. And then the other one, and I don't think you mentioned this one, but the other one is the ability to add an image to your link on your profile. So when you think about how boring a text link looks, imagine if you could create a graphic in Canva or something that would really attract people in a big way and have your branding colors and all that. You can already kind of do that on your your cover photo, as a lot of us do on Facebook, not on Instagram. But I'll be curious to see how that looks on Instagram, because I'm like, how are they gonna, like, how much is that gonna shove everything down on an Instagram profile if all of a sudden you have an image up there?
Yeah, and one other thing we didn't mention too, which again, not very much detail, but it said enhanced access to support. I'm hoping that means that there will be a web-based support inbox, because let me tell you, as someone who has been locked out of their account, it doesn't do me much good to pay for Meta Verified if I can't actually access the support inbox because it's only in the app. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's very, very flawed. And the another thing I remember that was on the very top plan was an annual review, or semi annual review from a quote Meta expert. Now,
Mhm.
all of us that have had calls with a Meta expert, to buy ads over the years know those can be hit and miss. It's not Zuckerberg. He's not taking a look or anything like that. But anything's possible. So there's a lot there. I am going to at least try one of the bottom two tiers first, just to kind of experience it and see what it happens as soon as I get the chance. So, all right. They did do a big update to the Instagram algorithm, which we will talk about here in just a second. But if you're looking for other marketing podcasts to add to your listening lineup, do you know we have 2 other marketing focused shows? Since 2012, the Social Media Marketing Podcast, hosted by Michael Stelzner, has been helping marketers navigate the constantly changing marketing jungle, and he interviews leading pros to find out exactly what's working right now. And then our other show, The Marketing Agency Show, hosted by Brooke Sellis, a must-listen specifically for agency and brand marketers. Each week, they explore opportunities and challenges faced specifically by agency marketers. So check out one or both of those after this episode. Just go to socialmediaexaminer.com/shows to check those out. All right, so some algorithm updates, starting with one where they are cracking down on these accounts that just take other people's content and share them far and wide. So tell us about that one here first, Chelsea.
Yes, changes to what they call original content. They're using the terms original versus unoriginal, which I think might have caused a little bit of confusion that I'll give you my 2 cents on as well. But yes, good news is people that are ripping off your content and passing it off as their own. Hey, good news. The algorithm is going to be able to detect that that's actually your content, and it's going to put a label on that content that says, hey, this is the original creator. Like, we know Jerry Potter made this video.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to stop recommending these accounts that are taking other people's content, trying to pass it off as their own. And because they might be larger accounts, of course, they're probably going to get a little bit more reach because they have more following. Well, the good news is they're taking up our recommendation space where we could be potentially being shown to new non-followers. So hopefully this will be a good thing. Now, my 2 cents on this is a lot of people got really excited, but it says in the words reposted, and it says unoriginal. That could be, well, what if it's inspired by someone else's content or very similar? I don't know if it's going to be able to detect somebody actually like recreating something and making it a little bit different. But certainly those accounts who are out there actually just stealing people's screenshotting or screen recording and posting it off as their own. Also accounts that or aggregator accounts, which are the really large accounts that are posting 10, 20, 30 times a day. They're taking up a lot of space in that recommendations feed as well. And so it'll be nice to not have the competition, hopefully, for us regular accounts to potentially get into more of those recommendations and suggested posts that have been previously taken up by those aggregator accounts.
Yeah, I love that perspective, Chelsea. And it's interesting because they say they'll replace, if somebody does take your content, they'll replace it with your original content, which is really, really neat. I took the time to jump into the comment section on Adam Mosseri, head of Instagram's post announcing this.
Yes.
And there were so many people. There are people out there that truly believe I'm giving you exposure. I mention your account and that kind of thing. And obviously, when you take screenshots or download other people's content and re-upload it, it's against the law first. But there are people out there that just truly believe that's totally fine. And it got a little heated. It got a little heated in there.
His comment sections often are heated.
Yeah, well, and I try and be a pretty positive person, but this one I was just I'm gonna go see what people are saying here. So, Adam Mosseri also shared something, and I think as marketers, we've known this for a while, but said follower counts matter less than view and like counts. So talk to us about what he said here, Chelsea.
Yeah, so he did make a video that said, "Hey, I wouldn't be paying attention as follower count as the most important metric. I'd be looking at your engagement rates." And now this makes more sense to me as I'm maybe putting pieces together because we're going to talk about how they are also changing the ranking of the algorithms to give people more a fair shot. So if your, follower count is much smaller, say it's 500 people instead of 5 million. So I think it's interesting that that video came out first, and we're going to be talking about those algorithmic, leveling the playing field, so to speak, which is great, I think, for all of us. But yeah, he said, it's not really necessarily about your follower count. It shouldn't be about your follower count. It's about your engagement rate and the comments and the likes that you might be getting on each individual post.
Yeah, and I think anyone with a big account can totally vouch for that too, right? Like not on Facebook or Instagram, but my biggest account has a very big audience, and it's social proof, but it's got they've got to be engaged and things like that as well. So and then as you mentioned, he came out and said smaller creators are going to start getting recommended more. Now we've heard this before. So tell us a little bit about kind of what he said and how, if you feel like this time is maybe different.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who's thinking this, because I'm like, aren't we already supposed to be doing this? Isn't the recommendation algorithm supposed to help this? So I too am excited, and I'm hoping that we see even more of this happen. But yeah, Adam Mosseri came out and said, listen, we haven't been doing that good of a job making this a level playing field. And we realize that these really big accounts by default, because of the numbers, are getting more reach because they have more people that are following them and therefore getting more engagement, just like you just said. So then that takes up the recommendation spots for smaller creators, people that are out there creating and maybe have great content that could be discovered, but because they don't have a large following is not getting as much reach. So they said, well, we're not going to do that anymore. And here's exactly how we're going to change it. And then they went into detail about how they have been testing, if you will, eligible content. And traditionally, they would take your piece of content, they would put it in front of some people in your community that already follow you and see if that gets engagement. And then it would go out to more people in your community and so on. And eventually maybe even get out to non-followers. But now they're going to take this, especially Reels and this particular format, and they're going to say, wait a minute, we're going to test this more with non-followers first. And again, I was kind of like, I thought that's what we were doing with Reels. But I've mentioned here that my Reels primarily go to my audience. I have my thoughts on that, but regardless, they're saying, hey, listen, what we're going to do, we're going to take any eligible piece of content, regardless of how big your account is, and we are going to put it in front of some non-followers and test it out. And based on their interests, if it's related to something like they said, comedy, stand-up, they're going to kind of figure out what people are interested in and share it and test it that way. So we could potentially see things like we saw at the beginning of Reels, where your Reels were definitely going out to more non-followers and you were getting more reach. So I'm excited for the opportunity. I am hoping that that is what is going to be rolling out. They said it's already underway, but to expect to see more of this shift happening in the next few months.
So are you saying your Reels reach more of your followers than non-followers?
Yes. And my theory on that is because I do long form Reels. I do 90-second Reels, 60-second Reels. I also don't use trending music. And, Instagram recently said on their creators account, they have a reel there that says the sweet spot is 30 to 90 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds. I'm like, interesting. So pushing again that longer reel, but we'll see, because I've been doing long reels for a long time. I've been doing original content for a long time. And so yes, the primary audience that sees my reels is followers, which I'm happy with. I love that.
That's great. And it's just really interesting to hear, because so my Instagram account, I never make a reel over 60 seconds because I want to put it on YouTube. But my Instagram account is always reaching more non-followers than followers. And you have way more of an engaged audience than I do. I have one of those audiences that's kind of been built at different phases in my life and things like that. But I mean, I had a reel a couple of weeks ago that's approaching 40,000 people now, and it's reached like 322 of my followers.
Wow.
So now that's an extreme example, but I mean, I could go back and look, but I'd be surprised if I have any that have reached more of my followers than none. So it's interesting to
Yeah.
hear that that's how it's going
Yeah,
on.
it's interesting that we have the opposite on that.
Yeah, and my interpretation of this is it used to be you had to get your followers engaged before they'd start recommending it, and now they're going to shift it a little bit, especially if it
Mhm.
falls into one of, like, I think the way marketers can look at this is if you're making it into a very obvious category that the algorithm can go, oh, this is about horseback riding or
Mhm.
marketing or whatever, then they will, or stand-up comedy, as I said, then it will go out to more people. One of the
Yeah.
things at Social Media Marketing World this year, there was a great talk about SEO. And one of the things that the expert said was that Google doesn't like analogies because it doesn't know what your page is about. And I immediately
Mm.
thought, I'll bet the social media algorithms are the same way. And so since then, I've stopped using, I love analogies, but I've stopped using as many analogies in my
I
content. Do you
love
use analogies?
analogies. I love analogies. Yes,
Yeah.
don't say that.
Well,
Well,
but I was
I'm
just
still gonna
thinking,
use them.
I was just thinking, like, if it's like, if I'm making a reel and I'm like, growing on Instagram is like riding a horse, to the algorithm going, we don't know what this is about at that point.
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah, no proof on that, just an observation that I made. So, all right. Speaking of Reels, they're testing a new option that's going to kind of change the way Reels potentially look for users. Just one of these things that we should be aware of in case it rolls out everywhere. So, what's this update, Chelsea?
I'm kind of excited to see this. I haven't seen this yet, but I guess it's called clear mode. And when you're watching a reel and then sort of at the bottom, you see the name of the person and maybe the audio name, and just kind of like it looks a little cluttery. You're going to be able to turn on what I guess they're going to call clear mode, and
Mhm.
it's going to clear that whole bottom section, even including like the chat bubble or the comment bubble, all that. It will be moved. And I'm kind of here for that. The clearer it is so that I can just engage with the content, I think I would really like that. But I haven't actually tried it, so I'm just imagining what it might be like. But it should kind of clear off the clutter, the visual clutter, if you will, at the sides of the actual reel. So we'll see if it makes that big of a
Yeah.
difference, or maybe I'm just imagining it will.
Well, that's another feature that they took from TikTok as well. And I don't
Yes.
know. I remember
Mhm.
trying it on TikTok. I'm like, well, this is weird. Like, because I think initially I was confused. Like, okay, well, let's say I do want to like it or I do want to
Yeah.
comment. Like, how do I get back to that? So,
Mhm.
all right, a lot of AI updates as at Meta and on Instagram, as you know, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But some new stickers launched for stories and reels, and I always like to hear about new stickers from you, Chelsea, because I know they're one of your favorite things.
They are, and I'm surprised not more people are talking about this. I'm not sure if they don't quite understand what this is, but I know that so many people have been wanting to make GIFs of themselves or GIFs from videos that they've had, and now we can. So we've had cutouts for a while, which is just the actual cutout from a picture that you could make as a sticker. Now you can do the same thing with a video. So you can do a silly video if you want to do something where you're pointing or however you want to make your GIF, right? And you can now cut out that video, and you can cut out the entire video. So I recently just tried this where I had a talking head video. I just wanted to try it out. It was a 30-second talking head video, and I cut it out and it clipped the whole 30-second video, which was kind of awesome. So if you love a GIF or you want to make your own GIFs, you want to layer them into reels or stories, this might be the super easy way to do it. And you're going to be able to do reels and stories. I love that they're putting it in reels as well. So cutouts have been here, but it was just for static images. Now you're also going to be able to do it with videos.
Wow.
And they're also doing a few other stickers, which is the add yours are for music. So if you want to see what everybody else is listening to, it's just like their regular add yours stickers, but it has specifically to do with music. And then I love the Polaroid frame. I know that was something for Coachella that they were saying was just, something they were adding for Coachella, but this is like a little Polaroid, just like the old Polaroid frame. And you can actually have people tap it and it turns into whatever picture you've put into it. So I think that's kind of fun. I really enjoyed that one. I actually haven't used it yet, but I've enjoyed it on other people's stories. And then one I have not tried yet and not sure if I'll use is the reveal, which you can hide the photo and someone has to send a direct message to then reveal that particular story, which I think could be interesting if you're doing some sort of like maybe tap to reveal the discount code or something like that. You always have
Yeah.
good ways that you're thinking of people might using these as marketers. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, any sort of FOMO is always good, and I like all of these, and including the the Polaroid thing. Which so can you tap it? Because my understanding was you have to actually shake your phone like a Polaroid picture.
People who are in a different generation have no idea what we're talking about. Once
Yeah,
upon a
they do
time,
because of
it
the
was a
Outcast
thing.
song. No,
It
they
was a
know because
thing.
of Outcast. Hey
Which
ya, right?
did they prove it? Which is also like what 27 years old or something. Did they prove that that doesn't actually work? That if you're shaking your Polaroid picture, I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh, I
My
have no idea.
dad still puts it under his arm, and yes, we still take pictures on a Polaroid in my parents' house 100%. Like I love it.
You can still buy them. You can still
Yeah, no,
buy
he has
Polaroid
one on a
cameras.
tripod, and every
Oh, okay.
picture we take is a Polaroid. Like, I'm
Okay.
not
Okay.
joking. I'm not exaggerating. My dad still does Polaroid pictures. But yeah, so at least what I've seen, I can tap it and it just like appears.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe I don't
Well,
know. Maybe there's a shake to it. I'm not sure.
to answer your question about the reveal post, I mean, I think, as you said, it could be to reveal a discount code or something like
Mhm.
that. But it could also be, there's so much more. Like, talk about taking your behind the scenes content to a new level.
Mhm.
And, it could be something that hasn't been unveiled yet. And so you're
Yeah.
giving them a sneak peek. Like, there's all these things. But the big thing here is, and this is one of the things that's so great about Instagram, is that as soon as somebody does DM you, and this has been true about Instagram stories for years, all of a sudden you get to have a private conversation with them. Now, not if you sell a $2.95 product, but for higher ticket stuff, this is an incredible opportunity. And it's the opposite of what has become rampant on social media for the last few years, which is the spammy cold DM.
Mhm.
You get to immediately go in. And so the other way that I would see using it is make the image something that they're going to maybe want to continue to comment on, or certainly tie it back to your business, because now you get to start having a conversation. And that's
Yeah, I agree.
priceless. That's better than links in Reels, as we
Mhm.
talked about during the Meta Verified thing. So, all right, some ads updates all around AI. Give us a quick run through on what we can kind of see coming out here, Chelsea.
Lots of AI and just making it easier, trying to make it easier for the creators of these ads. Now, this AI particularly is going to be around, which we've talked about before, is number one, a marketplace, if you will, of potential brand partners, of creators that maybe you can be connected with through AI. The AI is going to learn about the type of content and the type of audience that this person has and match you, kind of like a matchmaker, with a brand that might be a good fit for you. So we've talked about that before. They're using AI there, but also using AI to help create the images that are going into the ads and also figuring out which images are performing the best. So it's a little bit of an AI A/B testing. I don't know if they're going to use
Yeah.
all those letters with it, but the sizing, because as you know, different formats, different surfaces, you might be cross posting it somewhere. So they're making it a little bit easier for creators to create the ads and see what's actually working and create those images and just automate it, that being into the ads itself.
Yeah, my favorite of all of these is that that image expander,
Mhm.
where it will, because like Canva has this now, where it's like your picture's not big enough, it'll just make up the stuff that goes next to it. And when you think about how awful an experience it is from a consumer standpoint to have a static square show up in the middle of an Instagram story or an Instagram reel, and it's been bad for years in stories. So this opportunity, I think, is great, and it's the AI has gotten good enough to do that,
Yeah, agreed.
which is really, really cool. So, all right, some other AI updates, because obviously Meta will not let go of any of this, is their AI bot program. I know you're not a fan, but first tell us what it is and what this update is. And then we
Yes.
definitely
So
want to hear your
some
take.
might remember at some point, I don't even remember when it was, but I don't think it's there any longer, at least not on my account. You were going to be able to interact with almost like AI bot versions of celebrities. And also just like I think I interacted with an alien or something like that. It was like a
Yeah.
space something.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the point though? And I started a conversation and you could have a conversation with this AI alien in this spaceship. So yes, they've been trying and it was pretty cool. Like if we're just looking at it from an aspect of, wow, that's pretty cool how they were able to build that. But now it sounds like they use the word influencer. For some influencers, you might be able to create an AI bot of yourself and
Yes.
preload that with, maybe the way in which you speak. And so that if you really can't get to all of your DMs, at least there's an AI version of you.
Hmm. And it is your understanding that it pulls from your content?
I think that you're able to set up some of what it's saying. So it's possible that it could be pulling from the content. I'm not quite sure, but I interpret it as you can kind of set it up through the back end to, sound kind of like you or say things like you. So maybe that's totally possible. It's supposed to mimic the
Yeah.
quote unquote voice of the actual the human.
Yeah. And if you've been creating content for years, I mean, I would imagine that this could potentially be really, really effective. But
Mhm.
of the off Instagram, AI bots that have been based on people, and as somebody who talks a lot about social media, where everything changes every 5 minutes, I'm always like, I don't need that because I don't want people to start getting out of date advice. But I've still yet to hear from anyone that is like happy with what it's turned out. So I love that they're putting all this time into AI, but they announced AI for Facebook groups, I don't know how long ago. And it's like, come on, bring that out, because that is one of those ones where it's going to use the previous posts in the group to generate an answer and
Mhm.
reply to everybody in the community if nobody replies within an hour, which
That's
I
pretty
think is just
cool. I
amazing.
I
Yeah.
think that sounds like a really useful AI update.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. So, and then the other thing is just the overall Meta AI, which is sort of their Chat GPT, which is now showing up in parts of Instagram, right? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I have it. It's in every search bar anywhere. I'm in my inbox for my messages, it's there. It's a little circle and it says AI, and sometimes it gets in the way because I
Yeah.
just want to search for someone and I
Yeah.
click it or search for something and it's like, "Hello, it's your AI chatbot. How can we help you?" I'm like, "No, I'm just want to search for something." So,
Yeah.
maybe that's user error, I'm not sure, but it's a little annoying sometimes when that happens, but I have played with it just very briefly because I was curious if I could kind of treat it more like a chat GPT.
Hmm.
And I think for marketers on the go, as a user of chat GPT, I have seen some other creators talking about how to leverage it specifically for the platform you're on. Like, what are some keywords that I should be using if I'm in real estate and I'm in real estate
Mm.
marketing and that I should use in Instagram posts? So I think it could be interesting to see how it works for its own platform and helping people get ideas or content for it. I've not used it like ChatGPT because I just use ChatGPT. I just started using Gemini, but I'm just used to it in there. But I kind of find it a little bit more annoying than
Mm.
helpful. I have not tapped on any of the recommendations. It takes up almost an inch at the top of my Explore when I'm tapping on search, and it used to
Yeah.
just be one line that would be like a ticker tape going by. Now
Yeah.
it's like three lines, and they're trying a whole bunch of things. So we'll see.
Give me back my screen, is what you're
I know.
saying, right? G-
Yes.
Give me back my screen.
I don't like change. I like the old format, but it's just change.
So your hope in a perfect world is that the Meta AI would be able to give you better advice for Instagram than generic chat GPT. Certainly better
Yeah.
than the chat, the free chat GPT, which is a couple years
Right.
behind.
Right. I
Yeah.
don't know if that'll happen, but it could be a use case of somebody who's in there, who's a marketer, and maybe is doing some research, and perhaps it will pull from at creators account or maybe their blog and give some information.
Interesting. Okay. Well, quick reminder after this episode, make sure to go to socialmediaexaminer.com/shows. Start listening to our other shows. Again, socialmediaexaminer.com/shows. And Chelsea, where can we discover more about you?
No surprise here. The best place to get a hold of me is on Instagram. It's just my name and it's chelsea.peitz. It's Peitz.
Awesome. And until next time, may you be wise with your marketing decisions. Thanks, everyone. Bye.